Six Nations round 3, France hosting Italy, folks. The Italians have been impressive thus far in the Six Nations, winning their opener up against the Scots and then running the Irish closer than I think many expected. Picked up a losing bonus point in that game, led the game at half-time. But the French, 2 from 2, they're the only team in the hunt for the Grand Slam, top of the table, 2 big wins to start their campaign. They are hot favourites for this one in Lille. We'll go through the squads, some of the recent history, the predictions. Not so much the stats this week because my part of Auckland is currently experiencing a massive internet outage, so I don't have access to all my stats. I'll try to remember some general trends from the top of my head, but apologies for that. I might have to go to my mum's house later to upload this video, but yes, we'll go through the preview of the game. You guys can let us know your thoughts. I've at least been able to see the squads because there is some mobile data available. I've been holding my mobile phone to the skies to try and get some kind of signal. If you're old enough to remember dial-up internet from about 1998, that's the kind of speed I've been getting on my phone. So it was a painful wait, but I have seen the squads. We'll start with the French one. They've made a few changes. I haven't been able to see Fabien's press conference with no internet, but he's made a couple of changes in the second row. Front row is unchanged. It is still Gros, it's still Gros, Marchand, and Aldegheri, but the second row is Flamand and Meafou. Maybe it's just a bit of rotation, but I can't help but wonder he's putting a bit of extra beef into that second row because the Italian scrum has been very good in both of their matches. So Meafou is a big unit. He's behind Aldegheri on that tight headlock spot. He's going to help them at scrum time. The back row has been untouched, and they have been really, really high work rate, really, really high skill with Cros, Gigoux, and Gelon. So no changes there. Gigoux, I think in particular, has taken his game to another level at test level thus far in the Six Nations. We are only 2 games in, so can't read too much into it. The back line has been stealing all the headlines, though. Dupont still captains the side at 9. He was doing stupid kinds of offloads last week. One-handed flick out the back from a maul, which was potentially going to get turned over. Behind the back passes, the skill level of this guy is still nuts. And then him combined with Jalibert has been a really scintillating combo. Jalibert just seemed to have so much time on the ball last week. Kicks, finding space, setting up tries, busting tackles of his own. Really, really cracking form from that man. And then the midfield. It was changed from game 1 to game 2, but we've got that game 2 midfield carrying on again with the newcomer Fabien Bro-Boret. I'll get his name right eventually. And Emilien Gaitan in that midfield. Bro-Boret at 12. How many tackles did he bust? I can't look it up. It's like 8. Last week, scored a try, made a bunch of tackles. He was really impressive for a guy in his test debut. Admittedly against the Welsh side, which has been struggling, but he still looked really good. Did not look nervous, looked confident, looked every part a test player. Maybe a tougher ask up against the Italians here because the Italian midfield is also pretty good, but yeah, he's looked impressive from the one test we've seen of him so far. And then the back 3 of Bielbiere, Atisogbe, and Ramos. Oh my goodness. I feel like if the Italians are going to kick them any ball, every ball needs to be contested because if they have any time on kick receipt, they are quite happy to run it back. Quite happy to look for the space. Ramos will be offloading in the tackle. Bielbiere and Atisogbe got such speed. Plus on their own kick chase from Grubber. So dangerous. So the Italians will have looked at that Welsh game and hopefully learned some lessons about kicking to this French side because it was pretty rough for the Welsh last week. They've made a change on the bench with Malvaka coming back in. Good to see him back in the 16 jersey. Neti and George-Henri Colombe comes in as well. The big unit at tight head. We'll see how he goes when he comes on because his scrummaging gets questioned at times. Olivant and Guillard, the 2 starting locks from the first 2 games, dropped to the bench. They have been really impressive though. And not like the traditional French lock and duo, but this Six Nations, they've been very mobile, scoring tries, setting up tries in open field. Very mobile locks. And then Nushi is still there. 2 backs with Sterron. And then Pierre-Louis Barassi comes in for Noah Nene. So it's a bit of tinkering, but it's not the kind of wholesale changes you used to see when France might play Italy and, give some of the big guns a rest. It's very much still a team looking French side. For the Italians, they have made A couple of tinkering changes, but they're largely keeping the formula steady, I suppose. The results have been good, so there is no point in making wholesale changes. Fischetti, Nicotera, and Ferrari, this front row, as I've mentioned, has been really, really impressive. They gave the Irish a really hard time, and they were very good against the Scots as well. So their scrummaging is becoming a bit of a weapon. They still need to find touch and whatnot from their kicks if they are going to win penalties. And as I said, there's a bit of extra weight in the French pack this week, but yeah, it's been a really impressive part of their game. And the two locks, Nicola Canone has been absolutely tackling the house down, and Zambonin has been very good at line-out time. Plus, on defensive line-outs, Lamaro, who's there at 6, and Zuliani there at 7, are also very good at disrupting opposition ball. Plus, Zuliani, in terms of his turnovers, my goodness, 5 of them last week. I think he's probably the best jackler, the best pilferer in the Six Nations at the moment. He's always been really good, but he's been kind of living in Lamaro's shadow, and that Lamaro was always at 7 and Zuliani had to be on the bench. I think they're getting the best out of both of these guys. It's almost like Michael Hooper and David Pocock with the Wallabies, how they sometimes would put one starting or put one at number 8. They need 2 of your best players. You need to get them both on the field. And plus, like Lamaro's the captain, Hooper was the captain. It's very, very similar stuff. And then Lorenzo Canoni with those big carries of his from number 8. Fusco and Garbisi, as I said, will need to kick well. They have been kicking pretty well. Like they gave the Scottish a really hard time with their aerial ball. If they can do similar things against the French, it might be one of the weaknesses in the French game. We haven't seen anybody exploit it yet this Six Nations. Marine and Menoncello are still the midfield, same as last week. Menoncello is always the man to watch, but I feel like Marine is also very useful on the ball carry. Lina, Ioane, and Capuozzo comes in the back 3. So Capuozzo is the one change to the starting 15. Pani did really well last week, so he's unlucky. I don't know if he's injured or Capuozzo's just because I know he had a thumb injury. He's back fit. But either way, both guys are very, very dangerous players. They've brought in Dimichev as their replacement hooker, Spagnolo and Ziloki. Ziloki comes in for Hassa as the tight head replacement, Ruzza, Favrezzo, and Odiase. So 3 big unit replacements on the bench. So it's also a 6-2 split for them. Alessandro Garbisi and Paulo Odogwu are the 2 back replacements. The French offloading game, I don't have the numbers at hand, but I feel like it's more than double everybody else. I don't think anyone else has put in 10 offloads a game, but the French are comfortably offloading miles more than anybody else. This is going to be, it's a very dangerous game, and they've been dropping a bit of ball, which maybe goes with the offloading game as well. They kind of go hand in hand. You're throwing higher risk passes, but you do worry if the French get a game where they're offloading like that in the tackle and they're catching everything. It could get messy for whoever they're playing. The Italians, interestingly, this Six Nations have not been living off scraps with possession and territory. It's one thing that they usually kind of accept. They maybe don't have the pack to dominate up front enough to get 50-55% possession, but they had 50% possession over in Dublin, which I think a few years ago would have been unheard of. So the pack seems to be operating at a higher level. They're getting more ball, and it allows them to do more with that backline, which has always been pretty sexy in the last few years. So those are some stats that I can vaguely remember off the top of my head. The 2 standout ones for each of these sides, which are kind of points of difference either with other teams or with their kind of own recent histories. Speaking of the recent histories, France have got a very good record against the Italians, but it's kind of up and down. They either smash them or it's close. There's not really that many kind of middling results here. Like 2025, 73-24. An absolute smashing. Then there's a draw the year before, which is quite a contrast. France could have lost that game if Garbisi had managed to slot that kick at the end. 2023, 60 points to 7, so it's another smashing. Then the year before that, 29-24. So again, it's another close one. And then there's a 37-10, which is also not a huge smashing. It's the closest thing we've got to a middling result, but that's still 27 points. So the predictions are that it is going to be the smashing this time. 27 points, say the bookies. 24 points, says the algorithm. So France are going into this one with pretty big expectations put on them based on how they've played in the first 2 games. I'm hoping the Italians can keep up this good form, which sees them 4th on the log at the moment. They've been impressive in their first 2 games. 2011, though, was the last time they beat the French, so it has been a wee wee while. As I said, though, they could have done it in 2024. It is on at Lille. It's an afternoon kickoff, which is not as friendly for me here in New Zealand. I prefer your late night kickoffs. France, but I guess because it's a Sunday, they don't want to have it too late. So it's a 4:10 local kickoff, which is about the same time, but switch the PM for AM for me in New Zealand. Andrew Brace is the ref. But yeah, I'm hoping for a good game as I crawl out of bed early to watch it. Hopefully I've got internet by then, otherwise I won't be watching nothing. But yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts on the game. How do you think this one is going to go? Can you see the Italians pushing them, or do you think it's going to be a French steamroller? Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Thanks to my mum if I've used your internet to upload this video. Take care, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.